What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be discussing the Sunday slate of games that is going to be going on for the Call of Duty League on Draftkings. This is going to be taking place on June the 6th, Sunday, like I said, and this slate is going to consist of 3 different matches. One between the Guerillas, the Los Angeles Guerillas, and the Florida Mutineers. The second one is going to be between the Atlanta FAZE and the Los Angeles Thieves. And the third one is going to be involving the Dallas Empire, my home team, and the New York Subliners. So we're going to be discussing all 3 of those matches here with the Bovada odds and the Draftkings prices. So if you like Call of Duty betting on either of those platforms, if you like esports betting, you found the right channel. Stick around, leave a like, subscribe, turn that notification bell on so that these videos can hit your phone as soon as they go live, so you don't miss a single second of them. These videos are time sensitive, so they're basically irrelevant after the matches go live. So yeah, I suggest that notification bell. And with that being said, let's discuss the first game here we have between the LA Guerillas and the Florida Mutineers. This is going to be the first game of the day. We have the Los Angeles Guerillas, who are sitting at 7-16 on the leaderboard right now. Florida Mutineers are looking very, very good, may I say, are sitting at 12-14 in the leaderboards right now. As you can see by the VOD I'm playing in the background, the Florida Mutineers stood up to the New York Subliners to a game 5. They took them to a game 5. They pushed them to the limits. This was one heck of a series, and Florida have been looking, based on their last 3 games, they've been looking way more consistent, way more focused on the game. Florida's always been a good team, but they've just struggled to be consistent and, string a couple wins together. Now they had 2. They looked like they were going to get 3 in a row against the Subliners, who are a top 3 team, and they almost had it, as you can see here. They went all the way down to the wire. The first hard point, they won it 250-234. The search and destroy match, they lost 6-3. It was in standoff. They lost to the Subliners in that one. The control was pretty close. They won it 3-2. Could have gone either way. The hard point game 4, I think was up and down up until the last second. The New York Subliners took it. It could have gone either way. Florida Mutineers could have ended the series 3-1, but Subliners pushed it to a game 5. They won 250-228 in checkmate, and the last Express S&D went the way of the New York Subliners, unfortunately for the Mutineers. However, this team is starting to look more stronger and stronger as the weeks go by. And, I knew this matchup against the Subliners was going to be one to watch, because both of these teams, I feel like, are coming from like the same sentiment where people, were sleeping on them for the majority of the season, starting off the Cold War season, and they just started, started turning heads, especially the Subliners. Nobody thought they were going to be a top 3 team, but here we are in stage 4, and the New York Subliners have cemented themselves as one of the best teams in the league. So the odds for this matchup are as follows. Florida Mutineers are, they are favored to win minus 260. That's the line for them. The LA Guerillas are plus 190 underdogs. The under is at 4.5 at minus 250. So this match is favored to only, last 4 games. The over 4.5 is at plus 185, and the spread is at minus 1.5 at minus 125. I believe, based on what we've seen these previous games, that the Florida Mutineers are going to win this game against the LA Guerillas. LA Guerillas have not really looked, consistent at all. In the past 5 games, their last 5 games history, they haven't been looking strong at all. They haven't been looking like their tip-top shape. They got 3-0'd by the Dallas Empire in their previous match, and Florida Mutineers are just looking the best they've looked all season, frankly. So I do believe Florida Mutineers really are going to win this one. I would say they're going to win by 3-1. I really like Florida's chances. And with that being said, there is the first value pick that I think is, a must-have in your lineups when it comes to this matchup. And I'm looking at Awakening at 7,800 for the flex and at 11,700 for the captain position. They dropped this price substantially, about 600 fantasy, or $600 DK dollars on Draftkings, even though he posted 106 points in this game right here against the Subliners, and he posted 112 the game before against London. Awakening is a great player. I mean, he got 98 kills and 103 deaths. Like, that's a lot of deaths this match, but still, he's a beast. At 7,800, I think Awakening is a steal of a value play, and that's going to be my first pick of this match. Skies has also been playing like very, very good as of late. His last 7 games, he's had 6 100 plus fantasy point games. He's had 3 140 plus point games in the last 7 games. This dude is absolutely cracked right now. He is on one. So at 9,600, I feel like he might be a little bit fairly priced, but I don't think I've ever seen him at this price. So I think he might be peaking right now. If they do 3-0 the LA Guerillas, I do feel like he's going to get, upwards of 100 fantasy points. I just don't know if he's going to get 149. He could get more. Who knows? But that's a crazy stat line to have. He got 106 kills and 83 deaths. Skies has honestly been on one as of recent. I just don't know if that price is something I'm attracted to, but I can't deny he's been going nasty. So, we'll leave him up there as one of the picks where, he might provide value here. Havok at 6,600 is consistency not really there. Actually, he has been consistent for 3 matches in a row. The past 3 matches that they've been doing great. He has been posting 90 fantasy points. So actually take that back. 90 fantasy points in each one of those games. And prior to that, he had 2 100 plus point fantasy games. So Havok at 9,900 in the captain position, I feel like could be a decent play here for the LA Guerillas. And Neptune at 7,400, I do believe is also a great play here. Honestly, all of Florida Mutineers players are good plays here. I would venture to say that my favorite from most favorite to least favorite would probably be Skies number 1. 2 would probably be Neptune. 3 would be Skies, and 4 would be Havok. And I would say that at captain position, maybe Havok or Awakening would be very, very good plays, especially Awakening at 11,700 against this team. I feel like Awakening is a pretty good value at the captain position to really get you a lot of points. As for the LA Guerillas side, I really like Apathy at 9,000 for the captain position. Apathy has, whenever the LA Guerillas go to a game 4, I feel like Apathy always produces, he meets his value and exceeds expectations at that price tag for the captain position and for the flex position. Every other play, Cheen burned me last matchup. He really threw a dud. He threw like 58 fantasy points. I don't know about Cheen. I haven't really seen him too much. I don't know why I played him, to be honest. I just thought League Guerillas were maybe gonna push a game 5 against Dallas, but that didn't happen. So Cheen not on my radar. I really like Apathy though. Assault at 7,800. I'm just really not confident in this team against the Florida Mutineers, but I could see Apathy here in this situation could probably, get a couple points together. Silly at 7,200, also a very good play. I really do think that Silly at 7,200 would be a good play against this team. Other than that, I just like Apathy and Silly for this spot if you want to be contrarian. But yeah, those are my thoughts here in this game. I think it's going to be I want to say a 3-1 or 3-2 in favor of the Florida Mutineers. And that's what I think about this matchup specifically, this series. With that being said, let's move on to the next one, Atlanta FaZe against the Los Angeles Thieves. So for the Los Angeles Thieves and the Atlanta FaZe, we have this matchup. LA Thieves are a plus 240 underdog. Atlanta FaZe are a minus 350 favorites to win. Very strong favorites. I share this sentiment. Los Angeles Thieves are coming off of a loss against the Paris Legion, so they're not looking their best. I do believe that the Atlanta FaZe are sitting here at a very good spot. I don't think they're going to 3-0 them. It's a possibility, obviously, but I do think LA Thieves are, probably going to take one map. With that being said, I do not feel comfortable with any of the players on the LA Thieves side. I really don't. If in a weird case scenario where LA Thieves push it to game 5 and steal the last game and win the series, I would see a player like Kenny at $8,000 really, providing value for his team. I think that at $8,000, Kenny has shown that he has a lot of upside, a lot of upside. His last 10 games have been really good. He's posted a lot of good fantasy points against a lot of good teams like NYSL. He posted 144 against London, against Seattle, against New York Subliners. He's had really good games. Against Paris, he posted 101 fantasy points in a loss. He had 74 kills and 69 deaths. So I think that Kenny is my favorite spot here at 8,000, just because he's not that expensive, and he's in a position where even if they lose, he could potentially get a good amount of fantasy points from a loss. But that's if you want to be contrarian here, and that's the only player I'm really confident in. I don't think Venom, Draza, and Halley are that consistent to provide a good stat line against FaZe. They would have to really push it to a game 5, which I don't think is going to happen. And on the FaZe side, I always say that I always like RCDs. RCDs is not now starting to get more expensive. I figured Draftkings would eventually find out that RCDs is just too cheap on the best team in the league. This dude was always like in the 7,000s, and now he's like trending towards the high 8,000s. Now, at this price, I think RCDs becomes a little bit less of a value play, but he is still a monster. Don't get me wrong, he's still a monster, but he benefits more in the matches where Atlanta FaZe 3-0s teams. If they don't 3-0 teams, he usually doesn't post that many fantasy points, but he has been, posting a lot as of recent. He's been posting several 100 plus point fantasy games. So I think RCDs is just getting better, so that sentiment on my part might be wrong. He might actually just be destroying teams left and right. Doesn't matter if it's a 3-0 or not. So RCDs at 8,600, I feel is like the best value in the Atlanta FaZe side right now, because if they get 3-0'd, he's the cheapest one, with the highest upside. With that being said, I feel like a BZ is very expensive at the cap position. Also, Simp very expensive at the cap position, 15,600. I feel like Simp is, at the captain position, he's always gonna return you an insane amount of fantasy points, but he's just so expensive at 15,600. But you can get away with having him in cash games as well as a BZ. A BZ and Simp are in the same boat. In my deduction, they are in the same boat where they're very expensive. You can interchange both of them in the captain spot. They'll get you hella points. Even in the in the flex position, they'll get you hella points. It's just up to you if you want to play them or not. They're like sure shot value if you think they're going to get a 3-0. Now, if this doesn't go to a 3-0 matchup and they have for some reason a very slow series, they have in the past not performed to their price tags, and they've fallen short to their price tags. As you can imagine, $10,000 is very hard to meet those standards in DK points. Simp, BZ usually always meet them. Celium at 9,400. I feel like I would rather pay $400 more for a BZ, but Celium has honestly been on one as well. His last game, man, it's just so hard to pick and choose between these players because they've all been posting hella points, like hella fantasy points. They've been hella positive in their previous games. Like he went 57 and 40 the last game. The game before that, he went 48 and 31 against Optics. So all these players are just too good. So I would say target the cheapest ones because they are heavily favored to win. So you might as well get the cheapest ones in the best team in the league. So that's what I gotta say about this Atlanta FaZe team. I think this is gonna be a 3-1 matchup in favor of Atlanta FaZe. I think they're going to win. Contrarian playing it would be, in my part, probably Kenny. Probably get a decent amount of points here. And yeah, those are my thoughts on this specific game. With that being said, let's move on to the last game of the day, the marquee matchup, I believe it is, against the Dallas Empire and the New York Subliners. Like I was saying before, the New York Subliners just played the Florida Mutineers, so they are looking very cracked themselves. The fact that they went to game 5 and they managed to win, New York Subliners second or third best team in the game. I have a lot of confidence in New York Subliners, but I also, I have a little less confidence in Dallas Empire based on how they've been playing recently. So I do think this is going to be a 3-2 New York victory. The lines reflect that as well. New York Subliners, minus 310 favorites. Dallas Empire plus 225 underdogs. New York has always lost to Dallas Empire this whole season. They've lost all 3 matchups they played, I think. Some of them have been close games, but New York Subliners have a new player with Hydra, who is their newest acquisition, who, in my opinion, has, upped the game of New York Subliners, has made them a better team than when they had a Diamond Con the previous times they played against Dallas. And, yeah, with that being said, I think Dallas Empire have, they've lowered their quality of gameplay since they last played the New York Subliners, and I do feel like that's going to be reflected here in this matchup. And I do feel like New York Subliners are going to, for the first time in the season, beat the Dallas Empire. Might be wrong. Dallas Empire looked pretty nice. They're pretty. Their last game against the LA Guerillas, they 3-0'd them. But I mean, it's the LA Guerillas. LA Guerillas in themselves haven't been playing their best game, so there's that. I don't think. Before that, the Dallas Empire got 3-0'd by. I think it was who they get 3-0'd by, Toronto, I believe. Yeah, they got 3-0'd by Toronto. As you can see here, Dallas hasn't really been consistent as of late. Lost to Toronto, beat London, lost to Chicago. They got 3-0'd by Chicago. They got 3-0'd by Atlanta. They got back-to-back 3-0'd, and then they got 3-0'd by Florida. So they aren't, they haven't been looking amazing, right? They're not in their best shape right now. But, they are coming off of a 3-0 win themselves against Guerillas. That's not saying much because Guerillas are, not their best, like I said. With that being said, they have a 16-12 record. New York has an 18-9 record. The new acquisition, Vivid, hasn't been looking the best. Looking at his stats from, his previous games with Dallas Empire, he has not been looking too great. Yeah, with that being said, this team, Dallas, they really need some time to figure out how their play style is going to develop with Vivid, because changing from Philo and then changing from Hugh, one player really changes the chemistry in this game. So they really got to figure that out first before they start, I guess, being able to get to their old selves, a top 3 team, top 4 team. With that being said, if I were to look at value here in this match, I would have to look at New York first. I would have to look at ASIM at 8,000. ASIM did pretty good last game against Florida. I believe ASIM posted a decent amount of points. Yeah, he posted 108 fantasy points. He's posted 100 fantasy plus points for the last 3 games they've had. Clayster at 9,200, a little bit less consistent, but he has been playing. Actually, no, he has been consistent. He's been playing really good too, but I think that at 9,200 there are better plays out there than him. Hydra at 10,000. Fantasy points, same. He's been playing really good. You know, even yesterday, I believe he was very sick. Supposedly, they were saying he was very sick, and he was still slaying. He still got 96 kills and 92 deaths on a sick day. So, you know, the guy's cracked. Mac, I think, is the player with the least ceiling here in this team, but he's still been going off. He was 8,200 last map, last series, and he posted 130 fantasy points. So just again, all around, New York Subliners are just a very good team, man. I would say that Mac at 8,400, solid play, as well as a Seam solid play at 8,000. If you want to get exposed to them, I would say target those two players. I would say my favorite would be a Seam number 1. Actually, no, scratch that. Hydra number 1, Mac number 2, a Seam number 3, and Clay number 4. That's my in order of my favorite, you know, fantasy point odds. You know, largest odds to be had in order from greatest to least favorite. Even though they're all great plays. On the Dallas side, I do feel like Crim6 at 7,600 is a good play. He did show he had potential in last game against Guerillas. I don't know how good he will be here, but I'm just noting that he's very cheap. Actually, Illy at 6,800 fantasy points, I almost missed, is actually a very good value. 6,800 fantasy points, he is very, very valuable. I haven't seen him that cheap in a while. It's been like a month since I've seen him that cheap, and when he was that cheap back when the season started, he was being an insane value. So Illy at the cap position at 10,200 or at the flex position is a good value in my opinion, even if he hasn't been the best consistent player on their team. I do feel like he has value there at that. Vivid, you know, I'd rather go with Illy. They're very close in price. I'd rather go with Illy because, you know, Illy's been with the team longer. Vivid, I think, still has a couple more games to, you know, feel at home here. Shotzi at 9,000, I feel like decent play, but I just wouldn't target him here in this specific matchup just because he has also not been as consistent. He posted 41 fantasy points against Toronto, and then he posted 136 against Guerillas. So that tells you it's more about the matchup more than you know, him just being in his tip-top shape as of recent. So, you know, against New York Subliners, who knows if they or if he posts you know, points like that of that caliber. But yeah, with that being said, I think this is going to be a 3-2 New York victory. And yeah, those are my thoughts on all these games. If you guys like the content, if you guys like the esports betting content for platforms like Draftkings and Bovada, you know, leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like I said. You know, leave a comment on how I can make the viewing experience better for this channel. I want this channel to, you know, thrive and be like a nice community, have a nice little community for esports betting for, you know, games like Call of Duty and Valorant in the near future, and as well Halo as well when Halo esports come back to life. And yeah, those are my thoughts on this game. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy all the videos that will come in the near future. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.